Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to Doggy Sweeties.
We're two longtime friends who discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, which can be bored, really bored, with just this boring tell all, just full of nonsense, mundane drama. But at the end of the day, something mildly sweet will come of it because we're your girls. Hi! And the tell all,
Hello.
yeah, the tell all we're talking about, is, of course, is 90 Day Fiancé. It's the season 10, episode 20, Tell All Part 2, which I think, well, is it this? This is the last one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this? Okay. There's not
Mm-hmm.
four. Okay.
Correct.
Great.
They're not doing
Good.
that test again, and thank God,
Good.
I
Yeah.
will say that the quote that they started off this episode with, and just because they have to put it back in again, is Igor's not trans attracted. And then there was like Ashley and Jasmine. I feel like what happened is that Ashley picked up what Jasmine was putting down and then picked it up and ran with it. I loved this like cast member calling people out type business. Um and I was here for Ashley. I was here for it.
Yeah.
So,
I all the girlies had each other's back for sure. So in that way, I agree. So, we pick up on the fact that Gino had a bachelor party the night before Jasmine came to America, and at that stripper place, sorry, what's it called? Gentlemen's club.
strip club?
There were strippers. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, right. I'm like, sorry. Do I think, I'm from a different land. Like, what is the thing you called? I'm like Ariel. What is the word? Feet?
Stripper
Okay,
place.
so yeah. But we get to have an elongated segment where they have brought out Daisy from the last part. Now, poor ass Daisy, honey, is just like in the backstage area about to go on her own, like on the stage, she's back. There's poles. I mean, there's racks of like clothes, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's very showgirls. It makes me really happy. But she has, of course, a Midwestern accent, so like all of her like vowels are very flat, like when Gino, it's just so okay.
Sorry, that was me.
Okay, so sorry. The way that it came is I literally was like, is it an earthquake? Okay. Basically, so we have now gotten to see Gino having his lap dance, but and Jasmine has melted away into a jealous panic rage where she gets up, storms off, and Nikki has to go confront her, and she basically is like, "He never look at me this way, Nikki. He doesn't love me. He doesn't smell me. You see, oh, he smells. He doesn't smell." You're just like, oh my God. I mean, if you heard like the decibels of what I just did, but like it's even higher, she's just like, "Ah," like all of the wailing and snot, like when Jasmine wants to let loose. There's people in this world that cry with a certain kind of like je ne sais quoi, where you're like, there's no one can cry in this whole world like that. And I have always said that Claire Danes cries in a very special way. It's a nuance for me. I like the way Claire Danes cries. I've seen it a bunch. I respect her as an actress in a different way. I like the way that Jasmine cries is a certain kind of cry that like will live with me until the end of my life, you know?
Yes. Also, I didn't realize last episode how big her boobs were. It's almost like she got them done again and they are fully, it's like there's a shelf underneath them for the way that they're almost spilleth over it. And so she's crying in a way that it made me, she wanted the entire cast to hear her because like they did shots of the cast just hearing her be like, "Ah!" like in the background, right? So that we knew that the cast could hear it happening. And it was just so loud and forlorn in a way which is quite unnecessary. I mean, truth be told. Now, then Nikki goes to talk to her and be like, "Oh, you're so brave, Jasmine, like blah blah blah, don't worry." Like, but we feel, at least me, it feels silly to have a scene where Jasmine, looking as amazing as she does, is literally screaming and crying because Gino, looking the way he does, doesn't hug and smell her. It is quite baffling. So also who has to hear this is Daisy. And Daisy is like, I respect you women. I mean, could you imagine like a scenario, not imagining it, but I think as somebody who provides a certain fantasy and has at the athletic build of someone who is a pole dancer, a stripper, to then have to deal with wives of the said person from the bachelor party, like there is a certain amount of humbleness you must have. You must be like, oh yes, I do understand as a woman how you might feel like your husband's behavior at this event was untoward, but let me tell you, it wasn't. It was not at all, and in fact he seemed uncomfortable and awkward the whole time. And so then Jasmine comes back and she is still like, I'm sorry, Sean, I just had a panic attack. I didn't mean to disrupt anything. I respect you so much, Sean. I'm sorry, everyone. And then she's like, well, I just want to say that Gino has never treated me like this. He has never wanted to put his face within my titties, even though I have on numerous occasions been topless in front of him. And so it is just unfair that this was your experience and not mine. Also, then she says to Daisy, listen, let me tell you right now that you may think him being awkward was a sign that he wasn't into it, but I can tell you right now that he is the most awkward when he's trying to flirt. So I'm like, girl, this you sound like her fighting or crying over Gino is so crazy.
I also just love like Daisy. I found a fresh lip gloss in his car. Like, was it yours? Like, no, I've absolutely never been in that car. Like now I want to know so bad. And I wish that I had done the due diligence at that moment to take a screenshot and like try and micro analyze what brand it is. Because like if you were to guess what brand of lip gloss, like it's not Fenty, obviously.
Revlon.
Wet and Wild.
Mm. It wasn't even it to me. Wet and Wild doesn't pretend to be anything it isn't. I think that it was like either Revlon. It was some drugstore, like crazy color. It
Max
wasn't even a,
Factor.
yeah. It didn't even have wow, Max Factor. It didn't even have like it was like shimmery or something. It just like the packaging was like trying to do more than what it was actually doing. And packaging these days is sleek. So I do believe that it was 6 years ago. 1, 2. Or it could have been Milani, and I love Milani Boots House Down. Like I love it, but sometimes Milani has misses, and a lot of that is in the lip product. I'm just gonna say it. I said it.
Well, yeah, don't come for her.
I said it.
She's and obviously Milani's not sponsoring this.
Hmm.
'Cause what a horrible sponsorship they would have done for us to talk shit about their lip products. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what it is either. She doesn't know what it either is. But I love the fact that we have cemented the idea that it is in fact fresh. It has because it's like, and we all know like it's a fresh lip gloss. Now I'll tell you right now, I've had lip glosses that are older than like like,
That you should
middle-aged
own.
children. Yeah, of
Hmm.
course,
Hmm.
like, I don't ever throw away makeup, ever, except for mascara and eyeliners, because mostly they dry out. Then that's why I have to
Yes.
throw them away. Or I run
Yes.
out of lipsticks, or they melt down in some way, but if a lip product is still usable and it's in a form where it hasn't separated, and anything sort of powdery, I'll keep it my dying days. I think that like somewhere I have a True Colors like stack from the kiosks in the mall from the 90s, like those like mineral like
Oh no. Remember
eyeshadows.
remember Rimmel?
Yeah, that Rimmel to me was always like a London product, like Kate
Yeah.
Moss. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Get the
but
London look, Rimmel.
it's not
Yes.
here anymore. I haven't seen
Well,
it in these
that's what
United
I'm
States.
do you think it still exists in the UK?
Hmm. I know it
Yeah,
still does in the UK.
because
It's
it was a
crazy.
London-based thing, but yeah.
Yeah, they took it away from us. Anywho, okay, so he says that 95% of the time he was at the table with his family, and that 5% of the time they called him on stage to do all that stuff. So we we move on to Nikki and Igor. Um,
Oh, did the panties thing? You talked about the panties thing, right?
did that happen in this one? In this part of it? Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's talk about the panties. So, now Jasmine says that somebody mailed panties or put it on their doorstep with a note to Gino's house. Gino says that it's a fan or it is a somebody trying to stir and cause trouble, which I fully believe. That
Yes.
typed out message is obviously somebody who works in an office. Like who right now has a laptop or a computer and a printer and you aren't like over the age of 45? You
Yeah,
do if you
they're
work in an office or you have an off home office because you work from home. But
mhm,
even then, a printer is pretty intense
mhm.
to me.
I would be like, "Where's the nearest Kinko's, and can we get the footage?" Because, like, I would say 70% of the person that printed at the local Kinko's by them. Um,
Yeah.
and I also kinda wish that it was also a magazine situation where, like, each person had, like, clipped out a letter from a
Oh,
magazine
yeah.
and then, like,
That would
cut it,
be
and it was, like, a
great.
serial killer, and then, like, so that yeah, they didn't have to print it. They were like, "We don't." We're of a generation where we literally don't have a printer, and so the only way I can get you a nondescript type thing is to do the magazine trick, but then you would need glue
Yeah.
and scissors and a lot of
Mhm.
magazines
Mhm. You would.
and a big
Glue is
vocabulary.
what I don't have. I have tape. I might
You
have glue
could
though. I might have it.
mm,
I
I
don't
have
like to
nail
not have
glue.
things. I don't
Oh,
like to not have things. Like I have like I have most things that
school
you would need in
supplies?
a home. Mhm.
Yeah, I believe that. I do too. But I just don't know exactly where they all are.
Oh yeah, I know.
But
I have
I
a
bought it before.
I have a cupboard, a little thing with all of my school supplies in it. But yeah, I have a stapler.
I
Yeah,
have a
I
pencil
have.
sharpener. I have a an automatic pencil sharpener.
Oh.
I have a file shredder.
Oh. Come on, actor.
Okay, so let's move on with this. Let's just move on.
Um,
So,
yeah, so Nikki and Igor, they
yeah.
we pivot back to them again because they're like, "What's the status of your relationship?" And Ashley is like, "Well, why did you break up in a text?" And I guess I don't really understand like breaking up or relationships or anything that having to do with somebody wanting to be in a relationship with me. So I, I know a text is shitty. It looks like burger with the paste with the posted note from
Sex and City.
Sex and
Yeah.
the City. But like they don't live in the same country. So it kind of feels like it wouldn't be the worst thing for him to send a text message to clearly say how he feels. This, I mean, I don't know if he translated it, like he spoke it in Russian and then translated. I'm not sure what happened. But yeah, so she wants to know that, and he's just like, I don't have any, I don't like. So I was so happy when he started just speaking in Russian. It was just so much easier and better, right?
Yes and no, because yes, I agree. I agree with that. But then he would go back and forth, yes, into the English, and then so then he starts to get kind of like mad and defensive. And listen, all the girlies are on their side. Ashley doesn't quite know where to go because at the same time, as Igor is trying to say what he wants to do, Nikki is cutting him off. And so at some point, he's like, "You will let me talk. Maybe not tomorrow, I will not talk, but today I talk." And Ashley's like, "He said today he'll talk." Which when she said that, I almost felt like she was like hyping him, be like, "Yeah, like talk if you want him. The man's on a fucking monitor. I mean, let him talk if he wants to talk. You just ask him a question." But then what ends up happening is it gets turned around and he's like, "You and Ashley and you have similar vibes," which then is like masculine vibes, manly vibes. And then he's like, "Ashley, get your candles." Like, it's so funny because sometimes he's like, "I don't hardly speak English." And then at the same time, he's like making fun of Ashley's witchy ways. Like, "Ashley, I don't know. The vibes are weird. Get candles. Oh, are you holding the candles, Ashley?" You know, you're what?
Yeah, I kind
What?
of liked it. I kind of liked it. Here's the truth. It's because I'm not on either of their sides. I'm okay with them reading each other back and forth. Like I'm not
Yeah.
on Nikki's side at all. I think she's a weirdo crazy person. And I think that she acts like he's using her. No, she was using him just as much. And I think that just she's trying to redeem herself and like the way that she, talks to him and behaves and getting mad at him all the time. Like, who wants that? And every time
Mhm.
she's like, you just don't break up from one little thing. I was like, it doesn't sound like one little thing. I watched you do it every single episode. So it doesn't feel like one little thing to me. It feels like 5 years of you can't hang out with any other girls, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, don't tell me you're like just lots of crazy relationship behaviors. Like, especially that what we're seeing in Love Is Blind is like crazy to me. So, um, I don't care either way. So when Ashley said
Mm.
what Igor said, I was like, snaps, Igor, you better tell her you're going to talk today. Because she like tries to control the narrative, her and Jasmine screaming and wailing. Now, where I do think he was wrong was talking about masculine energy and basically trying to say that Americans, but I don't know. He's like says it's he tries to back away from it being about her transness, about the masculine energy, and no one believes that. I don't believe it for a second. I think that he is trying to say that because he's trying to devalue her transness or her transition in some way by saying like, yeah, you still act like a man, which is crazy. Um
It's disrespectful because they're saying, like, if you love this person, you can't go for what you assume is her jugular, which is something that she wants to, like, she literally has had a lot of surgeries. It's an obvious thing that this person would, she is feminine and she wants to be portrayed feminine. Like, it's obvious. So, like,
yeah.
just, it would be like, God bless, knowing someone had issues in the past, like maybe like with some eating disorder issues and then calling them fat or picky. But here's the thing with Devin, she's never been like, to us, she's never been like, "Stop calling me that. I don't want you to
Yes.
call me that." Now, Devin has been like, whatever. Yeah. So it's an interesting, it's just like, it's very interesting to talk about. I agree. Yeah.
Yes. And so yeah, the key to me is I don't like that conversation. I don't like that he keeps trying to use it as a reason and then him saying that he loves her, but he's unable to accept everything about her. So then go your separate ways. And this is Nikki needs to be a grown ass 55-year-old woman that she is and make the choices to walk away for her peace. Like she wants this drama. So,
That part. See, that part's hard because as a seasoned woman, it's just hard to have your mom on there and be like, "Mom, take my ring," and then be like, "Well, so what's happening, by the way?" I'm like, "Well, we did get together and I haven't pulled the visa at work." And then you're like, "Oh, bitch, it's because you want to be on the show again."
yeah.
And I don't know why, again, you weren't on before the 90 days because now you've been on 90 Day Fiancé. It seems like you blew the load. It seems like, was that going to be happily ever after? I literally don't understand the trajectory of the producers, what they want, but okay, God bless. Um, let's move on from them. So, if you don't mind. So we get to move on to Sam and Citra. Sam says that he got in the diversion program. That part worked out for him. Obviously, they're pregnant. Now, one crazy thing happens, and then one, like just moment happens that's crazy. Like a statement. The statement is at one point, Ash is like, how, do you feel like Islam, like finding Islam in your spirituality really helped you, like, like move on? He's like, yes. And we all know the man doesn't know anything about Islam. So like, no, like what's going to help him if it helps is just finding a woman and a love in his life and a stable, maybe, household and marriage and that feeds him and makes him feel good in some way. I mean, that would be more than just some weird religion and that he decided to pick for no other reason than just he wanted to marry someone that made him pick that religion. But then we get, and this is where the producers really did a crazy dumb thing where they were like, so it's episode 20. Something we didn't tell you ever is that, remember when you met this couple? So they had this drama thing we just never told you about. Let's set it up. Sam and Citra, and we get this picture of Sam looking like he's cosplaying as like a young Republican candidate from a
Full chin.
1950s
Full chin.
blue cut hair, like, but like a military garb, like he's wearing a blazer. I don't understand what I'm looking at. And it looks like almost audition footage for them to have been on the show talking about their relationship, which of course is that she, you know, is going to move over here. And that when they first started dating, when they were online, they had not met in real life. And we know that he met and went back there. So this is before he even went back there, before, of course, she's here. And this is a dumb thing, they were talking, they're exclusive, and he has a one night stand. Okay. Well, we all know what that means. He fucked some girl. He has, he's young as shit. And then they're like, Citra, no. And then they have us like have this messy situation where Citra's like, yeah, no, he told me that he met some girl and that he went to her house and she had something that was creepy and weird. And so he got creeped out and weirded by the thing. And so he couldn't fuck her. No, no, no. And then, like, Clayton's like, "No, no, no, so sorry, one night stand means in fact they did.
Mhm.
So just take it back, take the tape back, and in your mind, yes, they did." And Sam's like, "Yeah, I fucking told you we did." And she's like, "No, you didn't." He's like, "Well, then why would we have sat in there and cried about it? Why would you have cried? And why would I have cried knowing that some girl just sexually freaked me out?" I mean, I don't know. It was, like, such a weird moment.
It was such a weird moment that they tried to make a moment, and I was so happy for Citra to be like, "Oh, that was a long time ago, like, it doesn't matter."
Me too.
Thank you, Jesus, because I am so sick of them wanting couples to have and rehash old drama that just is I mean, he said it happened before they even met. So in that early stage of them talking and being exclusive, I mean, like, how did they like I feel like a lot of people start online relationships and are still, really sussing out whether they want to, whatever. This isn't Brandon and Mary who are like crazy right now over there in Philippines. Like Brandon is depressed, let me tell you. So it is so refreshing to have Citra be like, "No, I'm not upset." And like all the cast members are like, "Oh, well, I would have been." And I'm like, can we just get more of like the Devin and Citra energy? Because I am sick of the Jasmine and Nikki energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, can we just get somebody who isn't just going to be the most at all times? So it was just so refreshing. It's like they were trying to be messy, and Citra's like, "No, what we have now is so strong and so great." And like, I don't even really remember what it was those early days when we were dating. Okay, what? Thank you.
I honestly feel like Nikki and Jasmine looked around and they were like, looked at Citra and they're like, "She's not going to do anything." And then this is obviously Jasmine talking. And then they look at, like Devin and they're like, "Well, she's not going to say any one peep. You won't hear from her the entire they thought that it was 3 episodes at the time. It's only got 2 because that's how bad the episodes were. And then they looked over at the other
Mhm.
one, Anna Lee, and they're like, "Oh,
Mm-mm.
so all we have to do is take it to a 14 and we'll be stars of the show," because like
Yeah,
again, and we said this in the part 1, nothing special is happening during this tell all again. They have
nothing.
no tricks up their sleeve.
None.
I mean no tricks, which I feel
None.
like they probably shot themselves in the foot, like whether it was money issues, like, and I say their tricks again are either to bring out past OGs, have some sort of diocese, have a audience, film
They brought
them
out a
that night.
stripper. They brought out a bachelor party
They phoned
stripper.
in, they FaceTime. They if And by the way, I just wanna ask you another, yeah, they couldn't even bring her in the flesh. I wanna let's have him smell her real life and see if his dick gets hard. That's how you
Yeah,
know.
that is how you know something. I mean, it's like, and then they had Rob put in his little like whatever, and we're just like, no, you're a full clown. Just don't say anything. Don't say not one bloody thing. And he just kept trying to like, and then like, oh, it was just too much. It was just so boring and so stupid. So then we move
Unbelievably,
on
yeah.
to Clayton and Annalie. And we've
So
got
silly.
more updates about the mom, and Clayton tries to talk about his smelly guinea pigs, which upset me. I was just like, this is no. They smell? What are you attracted to about these animals? They're not even that cute. And so then, uh Manuel has a huge problem with this. Okay. He's just like, no, you don't get to treat your mom like that. No, 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 no. Then we find out from Jasmine. Who Jasmine is the like the Latino whisperer. Jasmine is the only one of like the Latino people who can like tell us what's going on culturally, and it's very very poignant. She's like, "Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now that even no matter how old you are, as Latinos, we're all scared of our parents." Okay, it's like, thank you for that. She's like, "So I can imagine it's a very hard thing, and let me tell you, Annalie's father is not okay with this union. Annalie is not gonna end up staying with Clayton." Well, we all know that, right? But like the fact that her father's like, she didn't have to make this choice. I wish her the best. Like,
I hope she reconsiders it and comes back. I
yes.
I didn't quite understand how much Brandy hates Annalie slash thinks that Annalie is like absolutely doesn't like her brother at all, feels no sexual warmth or chem, just feels like she is obviously just there for the green card. Like Brandy comes out as a sourpuss. And I just didn't like, it was weird because her planning the wedding and then Clayton expecting her to plan a wedding, then now just to hear that like the whole time he thought that she was out for him was so crazy. Like, why isn't his mom there? Why can't we talk to him and the mom and the sister and be like, what the hell happened, you guys? Just
I
wanna
feel like this is what
what
happened. The
happened
mother,
on that?
how she lost all her teeth is drugs.
Right.
This is what I've made up.
Okay.
She had them kids. She was an alcoholic. The husband was abusive. Brandy is like 15 years older than Clayton
Yes.
or something. Some
Yeah.
wide gap to where Brandy is some kind of parental figure in his life. Cuz that's what it feels like.
Or
And
Bra
so,
or his mom.
yeah, what? Say it again. Or his mom's
Could
what?
you what if what if Brandy was Clayton's actual
Oh,
mom?
it's actually Clayton's mother. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. Except for Clayton does look like his mom.
I know.
But
He
yeah, I
does.
mean, there's some kind of parental something that's going on with Clayton and Brandy. And Brandy is mad at Clayton for still being all up under the mom. Something happened. The mom did something happened to yeah. And so, but also I think her being such a suspicious of Anna Lee is not unfounded because I think Anna Lee, I would have expected her to have a little bit more English under her belt at this point. And I would have also expected for her to be a little bit more. I mean, she's right. There was the distance between them. They were hugging at some point, but it was uncomfortable because I think of their heights and their height and whatnot. Not hugging, but he was closer to her in part one. But it's I think that Brandy's indicative of the place that she is in the country, why she adamantly thinks that this person is using her brother. Now, which, but it wasn't so hit you over the head the way Gino's people were. So I at least appreciated that. I appreciated that she did do the bachelorette party and she did plan the wedding. But yeah, they have a very interesting relationship that I can't quite put my finger on.
It's so funny because of at every turn, it just takes like an interesting thing. Like to me, the stripper gate to me felt like a manufactured drama because it's not a like now this is because first of all, it's a retired trope. We are now talking about two stripper gates. Why? People have bachelorette parties. So you know what I'm saying? Like, how can now it be so fucking intensely horrible for two people, who are dating like, middle road dudes to consider, for and or well, actually, it's the girl. I mean, whatever. Just it's not even about the gender or like where they are. It's just like people do have bachelorette parties, and in the American culture, sometimes at bachelorette parties there are strippers, and like it is one thing to like have private time with a stripper without the camera somewhere, and like it's quite another to just to have on camera a stripper do something to you, like touch you or whatever. So anyway, that's why it's like I don't even believe that it's that, and I just can't believe it's that dramatic. So having said that, it's like I don't quite even believe that that was such a horrible thing that happened in their entire storyline. I wish we had talked about the things that we're not talking about. And it's so funny because even at one point, Sean Robinson's like, "Are there things we're not talking about?" And Brandy's like, "Uh-huh." And I'm like, "Great, Sean. Here's your chance, bitch." Not a bitch. Why don't you please go ahead now and ask the follow-up questions. And then Sean's like, "Oh, okay. Anyway, let's take a break."
Yeah.
It's like, what?
It
Even Jasmine sometimes is like trying to put a hard-hitting question together, except that Jasmine will use 14 more words than she has to do so, you know?
Mhm.
But anyway,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, no, but Jasmine does try to like ask the questions. You're right, and keep and like be like, "Let me ask you a question, Annalie or the Clayton. Were you
Yeah.
really that upset when like it's like it is great. Like you know how we were just thinking about who could be on the show and do the hosting? Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Jasmine could.
Clayton, do you have a codependent relationship with your mother because you have seen things that you don't want to talk about and we should
What
be respectful, but you're not saying it? Is that what's happening, Brandy? Can you comment on these?
yes, what
Like,
have you seen? Tell us. We're dying to know.
like what is at the crux of this? And like the other thing that is something that they're doing, the Annalie and Clayton, and we'll get off of them, is that there is like this underlying like they aren't sexually
Mhm.
affirmative enough through their affection that makes us feel like they both have a sexual or romantic relationship. And so she's
Mhm.
like, "I like to do things off camera, or whatever." And then at one point they kiss. Did you see that kiss?
Yeah, and it was too much. It was too
Yeah.
much. It was really intense, and it was and I was like, I don't want to see them do that. I actually am okay with them not being as physical because they are two people that I do not want to see or imagine. And in fact, I can't even imagine them. They just are like the opposite of what I could imagine two people, even like when they have sex. Like, what is ugh. I can't.
Yeah, I love you
So
so much. The way you said that was so remind me of Lisa Kudrow, like, after a long day's work, when I come
mm,
home, I don't want to see that. I don't want
yes.
to see that. It's from the comeback, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Like
oh
I
my
can't.
God.
I don't want it. Mm-mm.
No, I
So,
don't want to see that.
yeah,
Mm,
Clayton's mom moved out. They all moved to Oklahoma, so maybe they're hanging out with Mike's mom, uh, amongst
I
all
don't
of her,
know.
like,
Guinea pigs are
trinkets
there.
in her home. But yeah, so they're in Oklahoma now. Mom doesn't live in the and I just wanna know more about, like, why Oklahoma, and is it cheaper than Kentucky? Like, what
It seems
is
like it'd be the same.
seems like it would be the same, but they're even further away from Brandy, who lives in Indiana, which I thought she lived in Indiana, so I'm not sure. Um, yeah. So they did a little clap for Brandy when she left.
Mhm.
I was like, "What? Why? What
People
was that about?"
Yeah.
It was
And then
very
Brandy's
interesting.
like, she's using him for a green card. I'm like, I don't is but okay. I can't you guys keep, like, going back between being super contentious and everything's chill and everything's fine, you're okay? I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah,
let's move
it's
on
so
to
weird.
Devin and Nick. Their update is that they
Devin
moved
and
to
not Jehoon.
Hotlanta.
No, he
Yeah.
did.
He's moved to Hotlanta and Atlanta, and they're living separately as he, like, gets his life together and bearings for her to come, and they are enjoying it because they're introverts, and I wanted to, like, see how you'd feel about that.
Oh, I thought that was great.
I
That's
know you
so
did.
true. Yeah, I was like, I'm so happy for them. They get a little breaky break from each other. Also, here's this. Everyone's like, you already got your green card, and I was like, you guys, whatever his name, not Jehoon,
Nick.
not Jihoon or Nick is from South Korea slash Australia. Those are two countries that our president at the time would not refer to as shitholes. So of course he got his shit quick. They make it seem like it was like, oh yeah, no, we just put it in immediately. The rest of you guys just like you're taking your sweet time. I'm like, no, no, no. It all has to do with the country of origin. So I
Mhm.
don't know where he transferred his citizen or whatever he used. But if he
Mhm.
used Australia, well, yeah,
Australia. Yeah.
yeah. And if he used South Korea, well, yeah, like what? No, yeah, yeah. It's very quick for those places. It's a very quick. So, yeah, it was just so interesting that nobody said the obvious when they were all like so confused. Jasmine hasn't even put hers in yet, which I love. Who knows about Sophie and Rob? I mean, she would have been able to get her shit quick too, so we don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't say anything, and so I think it was just so interesting that they were all just like so confused as to how that happened. I was like, you guys obviously didn't watch their segment
Mhm.
to understand where they're from. So
Mhm.
we bring her parents out, and they, basically they're okay with not Jehoon, but the issue is that it was the piggy comment, and we keep going back to the scene with the aunt who asked the very stupid question of like, so what do people in South Korea think about Americans? And I said, bitch, you don't know what everyone thinks?
Igor was watching that, was like, like, because
Yes.
like, everyone was like, "Don't ask if you wanna know."
Yeah. And also, like, it's really interesting that you don't already know. It's
Yeah,
really that's like
yeah.
it just shows your worldview that you don't already know
W
that. It's like, what is she expecting to say? Oh, we think Americans are really
Number
hardworking.
1.
We think Americans are salt of the earth. We think that Americans are just really smart, and it's just the best country in the world. And so we all just really admire America. Is that what the fuck she thought? Because then the question could be turned the other way. What is it that you think about Koreans? And she'd be like, well, I have no idea.
Be like,
You know?
"Well, There's the ones that we don't talk about, and because they're scary, and the
No,
other
she
ones that
doesn't
we're
know. She doesn't
yeah,
know
yeah,
about North
you're right.
Korea, Chris.
Okay.
Stop it. She
Okay,
know
well, you're
about
right, you're right. I was trying okay, I wanted to yes and your joke. You're right, you're right, you're right. And she doesn't know yet. I was trying to, think of dialogue. But okay, yes. We talk about the piggy thing, and oh, this is I think this is where Jasmine does the question with a little too many words, which is like she's like, Devil, knowing that Nick called you piggy according to his culture, which we understand is just a nice thing, but knowing now that you have lost a significant amount of weight, although you looked beautiful then, you look lovely and healthy now, and I appreciate your parents for being here. Yes, Jasmine. But was also wondering if perhaps your feelings were taken into account when he repeatedly called you piggy and it forced you to lose weight. I'm just saying, as Jasmine, host of the show, if intuitively I feel as a woman, I need to come to you and ask, was it the fact that he called you piggy that made you lose this weight? That you look beautiful, but you look beautiful then? Ashley, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah, 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 yeah,
she says her name wrong. I'm not quite sure. She's like, oh, Annalie. I'm not, it's not Nikki. Like she's just whatever. Yeah. And Devin's mom is like, she's been this weight before, and we all women, we all fluctuate. And she's like, no, I think that I went back to America and blah blah blue. She had also talked about the filming of the show made her anxious. That when she was trying on dresses, she felt some way. I just want to say this. Like, I think that I would want and need Devin in her life to cross off any boundaries she needs to with people that make her feel this type of way. And if someone she loves is calling her a word that means something to her still, then I wouldn't want it to happen. And the only reason I'm giving them grace is because I literally have Korean landlords that will call me, will talk about the way how much weight they will be like, you look skinny every time they see me. And it's just their way of saying, you look healthy, you look happy. Okay. I can't help I'm not gonna be like, I'm not dating them, but I would just I'm not I don't I just like let it like walk off, water off my duck's back. I'm just like, that's how I feel. Like
yeah. And she
yeah,
didn't say that she doesn't like it. She just said, "I wish you wouldn't say that in front of people." So,
public. She was like,
publicly,
she
yeah.
wanted yeah.
And I think because A, she knows the stigma, and B, it can be like, your significant other might call you a cute pet name. I mean, nothing like Piggy. I can't think of another example. But
Porky,
what if they called
chubby,
you a cute nickname at home, and it
Gort
was fine,
I was
but when
called
you got
Gordita. Like or like like there's a lot of like Latin names that are cute names for women that are just also mean a little porky. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying?
mhm. Yeah, but nothing that they would be embarrassed with. I don't Gordita is not like, maybe some people are. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. So anywho, she and him are she's going to go and be there with him once he gets everything set up and settled. And I was like, this is like the best immigrant experience, because every other woman who brings a man to the US wants him to do exactly what Nick has done. She is what everyone wants, and no woman gets that. Like, every woman, when we see them after either on 90 Day Fiancé or on Happily Ever After, is very upset at that man because
Mhm,
he
mhm.
hasn't done anything for work.
Yep.
Like, yeah, so I that was very happy news, I thought.
Mhm.
Okay. So he also says, I'm sorry to America. Sorry that you're that upset about this. He really does not give one fuck. It's great.
I
It
know.
is
And Manuel's
great.
like, "Oh no, friend, unless you cry, it's not real." And then I love it. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah."
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That made me so happy that he was like, yeah, great. Also, who casted them on this show? Because they are the most boring people. I mean, if it wasn't for Nick got them cast. Nick was
Oh,
the reason why. She filled it out,
100%.
and Nick was the one who was like, ha ha ha
He
ha
filled
ha.
it out. I think he filled it out.
Yes, like,
Sh He, I think, had to talk her
Oh
into
my
it every step of the way. I think he was
Yeah.
like, "Come on, babe, we'll be fun," and she was like, "No, I don't
Mm,
want it," and he's
and
like,
he's like,
"No."
"Just make us money. Just make us
She's
money."
like, "I don't really want it," and he's just like, "We've been through so much, it'll be so much fun, what an adventure," like, "We'll be able to tell our grandkids," and she's like, "Well, we'll see," and then she's had a horrible time the entire time, like, has had to deal with, everyone's comments. They are not a toxic couple at all. The worst part of their entire storyline is that he calls her Piggy, which is not even okay. How do that? It's not even like you fat fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's Piggy. It's like
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
he's not in a vindictive way being like, I have this fucking fat fiance that just won't
yeah,
stop putting the burgers down. Like
yeah,
he
no. He
his
is
it,
fucking the
it
shit out of Devin, fat or thin. He like
yeah,
that two and they both lost weight together, right? He loves her punani so much.
I
And
agree.
she is just so like, yeah, no, but he's like, bitch, come here. Like,
That's why I
that
need a
is her
break.
man. That is her man. And just because they don't do all the things that like Ashley does and like Manuel, like we know that that's her man too. But like, it is just so cute to me that they are just this little like and he just rocks her socks. I'm so
Mhm.
happy for them.
I agree. I agree. Um, so basically, yeah, then it's like bye parents and thank God. Myrna just oh sorry, Myrna comes out and Myrna is Nikki's mom. And then this is where I'm like, no way. No way are we gonna have another Igor and Nikki segment. I couldn't believe it when Myrna came out. I was like, but and literally sometimes in the voiceover, you'll hear how the editors had to add in Sean Robinson saying, circling back to Nikki and Igor, where you're just like, why?
Why?
Like, you know who we're never gonna hear
Mm-mm.
from again? Rob and Sophie. They say not one peep. He just sits there in his like Magic Castle uniform, and she in her like brown brown haired
I'm
look, just
yeah.
like I so then yeah, she comes out, she's like, I just want the truth, and the truth is whether he loved her or not. And I just like I don't understand why we have to talk about whether he loves her or whether he's sexually attracted to her had this many times, because the truth of
Yeah.
the matter is the answer is no. That's how
And we don't care.
and Nikki is too old to make us sit through this. So I need
Yes.
Nikki to like put her big girly panties on, take some singing lessons, get the career back on the road, honey, and take it and run and just be like, I'm empowered. I'm gonna like find the man that's for me. And there's maybe he's American born. I would love her to go full fucking patriot and be like, just play around with that trope. Be like, I'm gonna be American born. I don't even fucking know. Like find her a man that's not Igor.
I
And
don't want to
then
see Nikki ever
also
again.
I cannot believe that we had didn't even get like an Andre phone in to be like, just a couple of questions,
No.
Andre, about
Yes.
sexuality in Moldova, because we literally talked. There is so many times in which Nikki was like, going around Moldova, be like, I have so many questions about is this how men and women are in Moldova or just with him and me? And the whole time I was like, well, we get to ask our resident expert. We never, but no,
Yeah.
Andre is too busy doing who the fuck knows what when we got him to real life for no reason with the dais of other, 10 other people for a whole tell all. That's why it's like this tell all was so phoned in. I can't even, like this tell all was made by
Oh,
AI. I think so.
I just started thinking about Andre. Could you imagine when they first met in
No,
Ireland? Like, could you imagine just being
no.
like, I feel like he was just so big and burly, and he was like, Lib, I like you. And he
He
was
had horrible
just
hair, but
so,
yeah,
so intense. I could just imagine him being
I know it.
so intense and so into this American girl and just like so masculine. Like, could you imagine if they
No.
stumbled into an alley and like he had her up against a brick wall with like one hand, like one
I
muscle
hate
hand
you.
over
Yes, I
her,
do.
looking down on her? Oh my God. So the answer is that Andre is gonna say no Moldovan man would ever like he's gonna be that. That's why they didn't put him on there, because he was gonna say something cancel worthy. Okay, his English is too good. There would have been no
Libby,
misunderstanding.
I think that at this point, he's lived in America where, like, Libby would know what's happening. He'd be like, "Look, Andre,
She can't control him.
okay, I understand, but it wouldn't be live, so They could, like, see what they could get from him. Like, even can you just at least ask for a couple of, like, I don't know, like, FaceTime stories and see, like, what do you I don't know. I'm just whatever. So then we get, like, basically, everyone just, like, packing up and leaving, like, Sam and Citra, like, seem like they're taking a bunch of snacks for the road.
Uh-huh.
Um,
'Cause she's hungry and she has a demon inside her that's making her eat and vomit at the same time.
a
So,
baby,
yeah, that's what she
a
said. She said demon.
baby.
I didn't say demon, she said it. Oh my gosh. Anyways, you guys, that's the end of this. So, we hope that you guys, thought it was as awful as we did, and that we can all just cleanse our palette and, go on to Happily Ever After, which is beginning, I don't know, the 17th? I don't know when that shit is beginning. Are they gonna give us a week? Probably not. So probably next week, we've gotta start on Happily Ever After, so we get more Manuel, we get more Gino and Jasmine. We get Angela, Deem, and Michael. We get, uh,
You know what I just
Emily
realized?
and
It's
whatever his
Oscar
name is.
night. They
Tonight?
knew how shitty this episode was because they could have not aired it and waited a week because it's Oscar night. And, like, don't people, like, watch I mean, like,
Mm.
that's didn't they do the same thing for Super Bowl? They took a week off for Super Bowl.
But they don't
Doesn't
take
that
a
seem
week, they
like
only take a week off for Super Bowl and Christmas. They only do those 2.
and I can see yeah, it's so funny because, like, off the top of my head, I don't know the numbers of, like, how many people watch one over the other, like, so maybe, like, I
I'm just
is it, like
just telling you,
it's a
they
thou
only
is
do
it it's a
those 2.
bill okay, well. Alright, well, then, yeah. So, but we're on in other ways because we had that single life, honey, the life is single. So, in real life and 90 Day Fiancé. So, we will
Whew,
move
this
on,
20
talk
weeks
about
is
that.
over. 20
Yeah.
weeks. Thank you guys for joining us. 20 weeks minus 2 weeks because they gave us off Christmas and Super Bowl. But if you guys want to see the visuals of what you're listening to, if you want to get exclusive content such as our Love is Blind recaps, you can join us on patreon.com/docusweeties for $10 a month. Let me tell you, patreon.com/docusweeties helps us in 2 ways. A, to get an editor. B, to pay somebody to help us with social media. And 3, that's it. Like, we do not pocket anything. So if you want to support this content, please go on ahead and join us on patreon.com/docusweeties. If you cannot do that, and we understand, Chris will tell you the other ways you can support this content. Chris?
Ooh, we have an Instagram. Have you heard of that weird thing called Instagram? Type in @DocuSweeties, like and follow all of our posts. We're also on X. We're also on TikTok. And we're also on Facebook, the DocuSweeties podcast Facebook group. And we love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. Give us 5 stars. If you haven't yet, consider a helpful review. And we'll talk to you later. All right, babes?
All right. Bye.